Objective Geology, multiple choice questions with answers. This is the solved question paper of Union Public Service Commission, UPSC, Combined Geoscientist Exam 2021, and I hope this solved question paper is useful for various competitive exams like CSR, NET, GATE, GSI, Civil Services exams and other exams. Welcome to set 1. Coming to first question. The principle of uniformitarianism states that A. The same external and internal processes that we recognize today have been operating consistent throughout most of the Earth's history, and B. The rate of external and internal processes that we recognize today have been operating consistent throughout most of the Earth's history, and C. The rate of the rock cycles have been constant throughout the Earth's history, and D. The rate of the rock cycles have changed through the different periods of the Earth's history. So the correct answer is A. The same external and internal processes that we recognize today have been operating consistent throughout most of the Earth's history. So uniformitarianism is also known as the doctrine of uniformity or the uniformitarian principle. So this is the assumption that the same natural laws and processes that operate in our present day scientific observations have always operated in the universe in the past and apply everywhere in the universe. So the A is the correct option. Next question. Which one of the following is the most widely accepted model of the evolutionary theory of solar system? Choices are A. Nebular hypothesis, B. Planetesimal hypothesis, C. Gaseous tidal hypothesis, and D. Gas dust cloud hypothesis. So the correct answer is A. Nebular hypothesis. So our solar system, it has formed at the same time as our sun, as described in the nebular hypothesis. The nebular hypothesis is the idea that a spinning cloud of the dust made of mostly lighter elements, and this is called as a nebula, and it has flattened into a protoplanetary disk and became a solar system consisting of a star with orbiting planets. So A. Nebular hypothesis is the correct option. Next question. The boundary between the Sayal and Sima is called, very simple and straightforward question. So this is the question asked in UPSC Combined Geoscientist 2021. A. Gutenberg discontinuity, B. Mohorovičić discontinuity, C. Conrad discontinuity, and D. Gutenberg-Wichert discontinuity. So the correct answer is C. Conrad discontinuity. And the Conrad discontinuity, it corresponds to the subhorizontal boundary in the continental crust at which the seismic wave velocity increases in a discontinuous way. So the boundary is observed in various continental regions at a depth of 15 to 20 kilometers, but it is not found in oceanic regions. So the boundary between the Sayal and Sima is called Conrad discontinuity. C is the correct option. Next question. The main cause of blowing wind across the Earth's surface is A. Wind blows from oceans to the landmass under the influence of sea motion. B. Heating of atmosphere, land and oceans accompanied by changes in air pressure. C. Wind blows from higher elevation to the lower elevation derived by elevation difference. And D. Wind blows from low pressure area to high pressure area due to pressure difference. So the main cause of blowing wind across the Earth's surface is heating of atmosphere, land and oceans, which is accompanied by changes in the air pressure. So wind is the movement of the air. It is caused by the uneven heating of the earth by the sun and the earth's own rotation. And winds, they range from light breezes to natural hazards such as hurricanes and tornadoes. So the main cause of the blowing wind across the earth's surface is heating of the atmosphere, land masses, and then oceans, and which are accompanied by changes in air pressure. Next question. Megathrust earthquakes are the most damaging and deadly of all earthquakes. These megathrusts are located A. At the continent rift and transform plate boundary, B. In the divergent plate boundary zone, C. Along the contact between the subducting plate and the overriding plate, D. Along the contact between the mid-oceanic ridges and the transform fault. So the correct option is C. So megathrust earthquakes are the most damaging and deadly of all earthquakes, and these are located along the contact between the subducting plate and the overriding plate. So megathrust earthquakes, they occur at the convergent boundaries where one tectonic plate is forced underneath another. So C is the correct option. Next question. The term SOMMA refers to, what does mean the term SOMMA? A. The highly saturated chlorous volcanic compounds comprising sodium, potassium and iron. B. The rim of the semi-destroyed old volcanic crater inside which another cone may rise by subsequent eruptions. C. The enlargement of crater of volcanoes by various eroding agents. And D. The depression on the slopes of volcanic cones. The term somma, it refers to, so the correct answer is B. The rim of the semi-destroyed old volcanic crater inside which another cone may arise by subsequent eruptions. So a somma volcano, this is also known as a sommian, is a volcanic caldera that has been partially filled by a new central cone. The type it is named after Mount Somma, are known as a summit. It's a type of stratovolcano in southern Italy with a summit caldera in which the upper cone of Mount Vesuvius has grown. So the correct option is B. Next question. Mid-oceanic ridges contain black smokers which are A. Volcanic smoke that contains mainly carbon in particulate form under deep sea. B. Hydrothermal vents from where hot water laden with fine-grained sulfide minerals jets out into the cold sea water. And C. Deep-seated vents that pours out magma continuously in small amount. And D. Deepest part of the mid-oceanic ridges which are largely inactive. So the correct answer is black smokers. They refers to hydrothermal vents from where hot water laden with fine-grained sulfide minerals, they eject out into the cold sea water. Black smokers are chimneys which are formed from deposits of iron sulfide, which is black, and white smokers, they are chimneys formed from the deposits of barium, calcium and silicon, which are white. And underwater volcanoes at spreading ridges and convergent plate boundaries, they produce hot springs known as hydrothermal vents. Next question. Trench rollback is. So what is a trench rollback? The options are A. Subduction of continental plate into asthenosphere and bounce back by the magmatic pressure. And B. Spreading of oceanic plate and subduction into another trench. C. Subduction of oceanic plate into asthenosphere and bend toward the island arc. And D. Bending of the subducting oceanic plate away from the island arc at the deeper levels. So the correct option is B. Spreading of oceanic plate and subduction into another trench. So the backward motion of the subduction zone relative to the motion of the plate which is being subducted is called as the trench rollback. So this is also known as a hinge rollback or hinge retreat. I will repeat. So what's a trench rollback? It is nothing but the backward motion of the subduction zone relative to the motion of the plate which is being subducted is called the trench rollback, and this trench rollback is also known as a hinge rollback or hinge retreat. So this is the spreading of the oceanic plate and subduction into another trench. So B is the correct option. Next question. In glacier, the debris which is carried at the surface of ice is termed as A. Abrasion, B. Englacial transport, C. Supraglacial transport and D. Subglacial transport. The correct option is C. Supraglacial transport. In glacier, the debris which is carried at the surface of the ice is known as a supraglacial transport. And the glacial debris can be carried in three different environments. The material mobilized on the ice surface constitute the supraglacial debris, which is generally angular and scarcely modified by glacial activity. So C is the correct option. Next question. During the process of sand transport by Eolian action, wind action, the mechanical wear and tear of the sand particles among themselves is known as A. Abrasion, B. Attrition, C. Sand blasting and D. Deflation. So the correct option is B. Attrition. So sand particles, they carried by winds, they start a friction process within itself, and because of this their size reduces, and this is known as the attrition. And the erosion process of high speed winds is also fast, so soft rocks break down easily, but on the other hand the erosion process is long in the case of hard rocks. So attrition means here during this process sand particles, due to wear and tear of the sand particles, the size reduces, and as a result so the attrition process happens. So this is known as a attrition. B is the correct option. Next question. A stream emerging from a steep narrow valley onto a broader lowland may build up a gently sloping conical deposit with an apex at the mouth of the narrow valley. Such a deposit is called A. Topset, B. Delta, C. Foreset beds, and D. Alluvial fan. The correct option is D. Alluvial fan. An alluvial fan is a triangle-shaped deposit of gravel, sand, and even smaller pieces of sediment such as silt. And this sediment is called alluvium. Alluvial fans are usually created as flowing water which interacts with mountains, hills, or the steep walls of a canyons. So, D. Alluvial fan is the correct option. Next question. Mineral quartz survives as sand grains in beaches, sand dunes, river and soil because all these are the questions asked in UPSC Combined Geoscientist Exam 2021. A. It is the first mineral to crystallize in the Bowen's reaction series, so it is an abundant mineral in the Earth's crust. B. It is resistant to chemical weathering as it crystallizes late according to Bowen's reaction series. C. It is resistant to chemical weathering as it allows easy substitution in its crystal structure. And D. It is resistant to physical weathering as it survives under frost wedging in low temperature condition. So the correct option is B. It is resistant to chemical weathering as it crystallizes late according to the Bowen's reaction series. So quartz is known as the most resistant rock forming mineral during surface weathering, and quartz and sometimes feldspars and some non-silicate minerals are also relatively resistant to weathering, but quartz is the highest resistant to weathering mineral. Because of especially silica oxide bonds, they do not break easily. So B is the correct option. Next question. The angular shear in a deformed rock body is described as A. Total degree of deflection of two lines which are originally at a certain angle before deformation, and B. Angular relationship between alignments of 2 points change after a distortion deformation, and C. The degree to which two originally perpendicular lines are deflected from 90 degrees, and D. The angle change between two parallel lines after the deformation. So the correct answer is C. The degree to which two originally perpendicular lines are deflected from 90 is known as the angular shear, and the angular shear in a deformed material is the angle between two originally perpendicular lines. And angular shear strain only it occurs during simple shear. The strain eclipse or the strain ellipse describes the change in the shape during the deformation of an imaginary circle. So C is the correct option. Next question. Class 1 folds are distinguished by A. Dip isogons that converge downward and signifying that the curvature of the outer arc is less than that of the inner arc, and B. Parallel folds with curvatures of the outer arc and inner arc of the fold being identical, and C. Fold marked by dip isogons that diverge downward as outer arc curvature exceeds inner arc curvature, and D. Folds marked by modest thickening on the hinge and the modest thinning on the limbs. So class 1 folds are distinguished by A. So that is dip isogons that converge downward and signifying that the curvature of the outer arc is less than that of the inner arc. And class 1 folds have isogons. They are convergent towards the core of the fold. That means towards the curvature of the inner arc, which is greater than the outer arc. Next question. Throw in a fault is defined as A. Angle between the fault plane and a horizontal plane. B. Angle between the strike of a fault plane and the strike of a regional structure. C. Angle between fault plane and a vertical plane. And D. Thickness of a stratigraphic interval between two beds that are brought into contact by faulting. So in measuring the horizontal or vertical separation, the throw of the fault is the vertical component of the separation and the heave of the fault is the horizontal component, as in throw up and heave out. So throw is nothing but the thickness of the stratigraphic interval between the beds that are into contact by faulting. So D is the correct option. Next question. Which of the following type of folds are classified on the basis of mechanism of folding? A. Flexure slip folds. B. Plunging and recline folds. C. Symmetrical and recumbent folds. And D. Parallel and similar folds. Which type of folds are classified on the basis of mechanism of folding? So the correct answer is A. Flexor slip folds. So flexor slip folds, they form by buckling. That means bending and slip parallel to layering, and strong and stiff layers with contact having low cohesive strength are good candidate for this process. So A. Flexor slip folds are the correct answer. Next question. The assembly of tilted blocks, half grabens and horse is called A. Strike slip landscape, B. Pull apart basins landscape, C. Fault block landscape, and D. Gully landscape. The assembly of tilted blocks, half grabens and hose is called. So the correct answer is C. Fault block landscape. Fault block mountains, they often result from rifting, and which is another indicator of tensional tectonic forces. And these can be small, or they form extensive rift valley systems, such as the excellent example is the East African Rift System or East African Rift Zone. So the Death Valley in California is a smaller example. These are the two types of block mountains, lifted and sloped. So the assembly of tilted blocks, half grabens and hosts is called as the fault block landscape. Next question. The value of normal stress and shear stress on each fault plane and shear stress on each fault plane in the Moore envelope of failure is reflected by A. The coordinates of the point making the intersection of each circle with its radius, and B. The tangential reflection of each circle with x-axis, and C. The coordinates of the point making the intersection with its applied stress, and D. The tangential projection of sigma 1 with applied stress along y-axis. So the correct answer is A. The coordinates of the point making the intersection of each circle with its radius. So if data from the several tests are carried out on simple values, on different samples up to failure is available, a series of Moore circles can be plotted, and it is convenient to show only the upper half of the Moore circle, and a line tangential to the Moore circles can be drawn, and this is called as the Moore-Colomb failure envelope. So here is the correct answer. Like the coordinates of the point making the intersection of each circle with its radius is known as the Moore envelope of failure is reflected by this. Next question. Recky's principle of recrystallization for plastic deformation is expressed as A. The rock crystallized according to orientation of their glide plane. B. The intergranular recrystallization takes place because of intergranular displacement between the individual grains. And C. The preferred orientation in rocks are the product of guided recrystallization under high confining pressure and temperature. And D. The solution in the pore spaces of the rocks dissolve that portion of the rock crystal which is under great stress, and at the same time there is a precipitation on that portion of the crystal which is subjected to the least stress. So here the Recky's principle of crystallization for plastic deformation is nothing but the solution in the pore spaces of the rock which is able to dissolve that portion of the crystal under a greatest stress, and at the same time there is a precipitation on that portion of the crystal which is subjected to the least stress. So actually the Recky's principle in geology is nothing but it's a statement that a mineral grain possesses a greater solubility under high stress than it does under low stress. So according to this principle, stressed grains in a rock will dissolve more readily than will unstressed grains in the same rock, and material may be transported between the two. So D is the correct option. Next question. Cataclastic flow is the result of A. Dislocation by the pressure solution, B. Displacement along the dislocation planes, and C. Flow along the crystallographic planes of weakness, and D. Frictional sliding along the interconnected microcracks. So cataclastic flow, this is the result of frictional sliding along the interconnected microcracks. So the macroscopically ductile movement of rock resulting from microscopically brittle fracturing and sliding is a cataclastic flow. So D is the correct option. This is nothing but the frictional sliding along the interconnected microcracks. I hope you have learned something from these questions, and see you in the next video for the next part, and hope you can subscribe to this channel, and thank you for your time.